Good morning, guys, traders, and just those who are looking from the sidelines. How you guys doing? Good Tuesday morning. Oh man, it's good to be back in the saddle here, man. Trading is something I love to do. I found something that I actually love to do here, and it's good to be back. But anyway, let's get right into it. As I said yesterday, yeah, I freaking was recovering from the Super Bowl festivities the night before. Um, but I still managed to make a trade. I don't know how, but I made a trade yesterday for what, $90 and $78 after commissions. So that's why the equity now is where it is. Um, the market has been looking like it's been hot, man. Since I've been back here, it looks like I missed out on some stuff last week, but that's neither here nor there. But this week, it's still hot. It's like it's carrying over. You're seeing gappers here, starting the morning off with gappers. That's always a good sign. Like I said in some videos in the past, you kind of can get a feel for the day very early. You don't have to wait till the bell rings to kind of get a feeling of the day. Usually, you'll know good and early, like how the day is gonna go. Sometimes things just pop up. Some things will just pop up in the middle of the day, but overall, like right now, you got a couple gappers. That's a good sign for the day. You got MBRX, which just came out with some news. FDA orphan drug designation. If you remember my videos before, or one of my videos, I said if you look for the word FDA, if you have a news scanner, the ones that you can type in and filter the type of news that you get, a lot of people use that, and a lot of people use just the word FDA for in their news filter because they know when the word FDA comes up, whether it's FDA approval, FDA designation, or anything with the words FDA in it, the stock's gonna get some action, and that's what's going on now with MBRX. Let's see here. So as you can see, biotech reports FDA granted orphan drug designation for its brain tumor drug. So that's some news there. So it's gotten it off to a hot start. Actually, where's my time and sales here? Time and sales. Alrighty, keep it on top. Okay, so now we're all on the same accord here. So right now, as you can see, there's some a buyer, big buyer here, 12,500 shares, and then a couple others at the 182 area. Let's see how that holds. If that acts as support. But anyway, that's that. And another one that jumped up yesterday, as the bell was closing yesterday. Um, this one caught my eye. These stocks are down in a dollar, so I typically don't play them. They are looking a little enticing, but I try to stay away from any stock in that dollar range, $2 range. For one, with Sure Trader, you can only use margin with stocks over $3, and so anything under $3, you just have to use your own equity. That's number one, and just number two is um, very rarely you have ones that move freely. From like say 105 to $2. Most of them have problems fighting every cent. Like every cent or every 2 cent is a battle, and it also for some reason down there, the dollar and the $2, we call that the magnet, the dollar magnet. So basically, when it hits the next dollar, $1, if it's coming from like 80 cent and it goes to a dollar, that dollar acts as like a magnet. So if it goes up just a little over it, freaking, it comes down to a dollar. If it goes down like 91 cent, it'll just go back up to a dollar. It just stays around that level. And same with the $2 area. So those stocks I typically don't like to play, but every now and then you'll get one that runs from a dollar and all the way up to three, four, five on up. So You have those supernovas here and there. But that's the reason I don't play 'em. But uh, right now, these are looking good. So they did take out that 182 that was acting as support. That got just chopped down ASAP. It was over 12,500 shares there, over 13. But yeah, guys. So yeah. Anyway, I'll do a quick recap of yesterday. I made one trade. The stock was, I forget. Go back and look at the video. Anyway, I made a trade yesterday. One trade. I actually had to leave. I just let the trade. Basically, it was an automated trade, not automated all the way, but once I got in it, I just left it. I set my target and my loss, and I left. I had to go and handle some business, and of course, I was checking it. As I left, I had to check it from time to time, just because that's what I do. And I saw that it did reach my target. It actually went over, about 20 cent, but I was happy with 30 cent gain, and that was on 300 shares. So again, another thing is, yeah, I went back down to just my 300 to 500 shares, because when I did my last trade before I went on the trip last week, yes, I did profit, but I stuck. My first trade was a loss, and I think I had like 1,000 shares or 700, 800 shares in the stock. So my first trade, it went down like 10 cents. So that was all like $100 right away, and I kept continuing to use full margin, and I battled back, but I just didn't like the feeling of. I don't like the feeling of putting myself at risk that much, especially when the account is this low. Yeah, I fought back, and yeah, if you get all wins, it'll go up way quicker. This will go up like the trade yesterday. That would have been $300 if I used 300 shares. I mean, I'm sorry, if I used 1,000 shares, that would have been $300. I got 30 cent on the trade, but at the same time, you have to always look at your risk as well. You can't just focus on what you can win. You have to look at what you can potentially lose. So that will help you balance out the share size that you need to use. So when you're going into trades, guys, always factor in both sides. I know I was a rookie one time, where um, I was just looking at the upside. So I'm going all in. I'm swinging for the fences. I'm using as much buying power or shares as I could buy when I see a stock running, or something that's fitting my criteria. But then what happens when it goes against you? Now those losses, uh, they snowball, because not only is it gonna be a high loss, but then you add the commissions to it. So you got double the loss almost. So you just keep that in mind, guys. So anyway, there was a reverse split yesterday on OHRP. Um, it opened up at the bell at two. It got to a high of 281. It was a 1 for 20 split actually. So it was a very low one down here in the like 10 cent range. But it opened up and it hit a high of 281, but it's faded off ever since, almost $1 off. So just keep that on the radar in case it comes with a catalyst, some news. It really didn't have much news. There you go. You have it. You don't see any recent news. You had the reverse split, but now you're waiting on the news. Um, that's just something to keep on watch. It could be on watch for a couple of days. It doesn't have to be today, but just something to keep on your radar. All right, and then you have MLNT. Like I said yesterday, it started to take off before the bell, before the closing bell. Oh well, because it had news at the end of yesterday, and it hit a high of 222. Actually, if I was to play any of these lower float stocks, it would be this. Um, yes, it made a major pullback, but it's holding pretty well around this 150 area right now. Everybody knows that the half dollars are a smaller resistance, mental resistance level. It's smaller than the whole dollar. Sometimes at 50 it'll shoot right by that, but it's still a mental resistance level. So it's kind of holding that 150 area. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. Look for it to shoot back up. Out of the two plays, out of MBRX and MLNT, MLNT is the one I'll look at a little bit better. I'm not gonna play any because they're both too low for me price wise. But just watch this 150 area. That's gonna be a key area to keep an eye on. If it holds there, if it doesn't really drop down too far under the 150, it might hit 140 something or whatever, and shoot back up. Then that's the play. But if it can't hold the 150 and it gets down to the 130s, 120s, then it's over with. Um, yeah, so that's pretty much it for right now. Anyway, let me see something. Let me go ahead and look through the scanners here and see if there's anything else moving. Let's see. Give me 1 second, guys. Max is. See what's going on in the markets overall. Also, let's take a look at the S&P. Honestly, I don't care much about what this is doing, but it is something to keep an eye on. If you're doing small caps, it depends on the stock. I can get into more in depth about it. I can get more in depth about it. Sorry. You can look at the better information. That'll let you know if stock uh, follows the market and by how much. Is it multiplied by one, two, three times what the market is doing, or if it's inverse, if it typically does the opposite of what the market is doing. So you can look at things like the beta and all type of other fundamentals as well. Um, I will make a video. It's a lot of videos I want to make. I'm gonna make for you guys that I don't see yet on YouTube. Um, I don't really see much of, rather. So I'll give you guys that information at a later time. But if you want, you can look it up now, as I just mentioned it. But anyway, I'm looking at the market. So right now, that's the two biggest plays for the day. Uh, you still got this, which this is a ETF, I'm thinking, but it always has high volume very early. Yeah, this is a ETF here. But I just noticed it's popped up pretty big from the 860 to 920. So it's 50 cent pop here. Um, let's see. But yeah, right now that's looking like the best plays, the ones that are in the title. Now again, once I cut this stream off, I've seen it happen before where I've done a stream and then once I turn it off, something pops up. So it might not reflect in my title because it came after my stream. So right as of right now, this is the two best plays. Something may pop up after, but just keep in mind once you see good plays like this early, then that's usually an indication of the day. Usually these are the catalysts to start other stocks to running, small cap stocks to running. As some of the YouTubers say, and I'll say it, as Ross says, some sympathy momentum usually happens. Where people feel like they missed this one, so they're looking at anything that moves after this. So if something just pops up slightly, everybody jumps in, and now that's a new runner. So keep an eye on the overall market, guys. All right, if I make a trade today, I definitely will do a recap. I am here today for sure. I do have some errands to run, but that's later. So I will have time early at least. If I see something, if there's nothing available that I like, then I have to tell myself don't force anything. You don't have to trade. Don't become a slave to the market. If I could leave you guys with anything, that's one thing I'll always tell you. Don't feel like you have to trade. Then that when you get to that point, you're now becoming a slave to the market, and you don't want to be that. And as you can see, MLNT it was holding that area, now it's heading back up. So keep an eye on that. I'll see you guys later.